So it looks like we may have a new messiah, a new social media messiah, in the form of Elon Musk, as you may have heard recently, has decided, no, actually, I'm going to go ahead and buy Twitter. The stocks have been frozen. I actually own 2 Twitter stonks. I bought them specifically for this occasion, actually.
Just conflicts of interest out of the way.
Yep, so Elon
You've
Musk...
made a whole $3.
Yeah, conflict of... No. I'll probably get around $9 dues out of this, if everything goes according to plan. So yeah, that's my my financial investment in the subject revealed. I'm going to get $10 dues of Elon's money. But that's not the reason. He's not sponsoring this podcast, unfortunately, although he could if he wanted. So really what this is just the accumulation of a very strange series of events that we have covered previously. I'm not going to summarize, but we're going to go through like the steps directly leading up to him just saying, look, I'm just going to buy this, because I think it's become apparent that it wasn't 4D chess, actually. It's become apparent that actually the legal process is more difficult than even Elon Musk thought. But it is, I think, going to play out in our favour, and he may be responsible for the resurrection, as it were. So if you're a Christian, don't get angry at me for calling Elon Musk the new Jesus. But the point is, I think, a fair one. And I have laid out exactly how all of this goes. So I wrote a deep think back in June or July, it was June, about how elites are captured, because I studied the critical race theorists and looked at how their ideology was formed, how it worked, and how they ended up getting the elites on their side, and so how they ended up getting billions of dollars funneled into their personal bank accounts so they could buy mansions. And it turns out that I think I'm completely vindicated. Just to go through a few of the points, right? Just to show you how accurate I think this is. It begins with the positive vision of the moral community, which in Elon's case, of course, is Twitter being the town centre of the world, and everyone should have free speech on it. The ideological weapon needs to be crafted, which is, of course, the presupposition that one should be able to speak freely, and the idea that social media is a human right, as Jack Dorsey has said, which plays into many existing presuppositions and properly articulates them. This creates the double-edged narrative, which frames at once the moral and immoral community, and as you will see as we're going through this, it's very evident to everyone involved who the immoral community is in this. The leftists controlling Twitter, and of course the moral community are those free speech. Honestly, it's the right wing, because they're the ones being censored, right? But you get this double-edged narrative where the right's been censored by these evil leftists, and that's true. The attracting of the attention of elite allies, which has been done, as I will show, and the demonization of the immoral community, as in we shouldn't censor people, and the people who want to censor you are bad people. Totally true. And then, of course, the long march and clearing them out, because Parag Agrawal's time as CEO of Twitter is probably not long for this world. You can see that Elon's going to be like, no, you're out. And then you get the material legitimization of the dissident ideology, as in free speech warriors are going to materially benefit from this. So this is why Elon takes the place of the Lord and Savior and Messiah. But anyway, so going back to sort of mid-September, Elon Musk and Twitter start getting into it. Elon says, no, you're committing fraud. You're hiding the number of bots you have. It's all a big lie. I'm pulling out the deal. And Twitter's like, no, we're going to sue you to make you buy us. And at the time, this was like a remarkable Uno reverse card. You know, like, what? Okay, can you do that? And it turns out they can do that.
But also, you now have to go to court and tell us how many bots you've got?
Yes, well, that's the thing. This is actually more difficult than you might expect. But there was a whistleblower from Twitter who alleged that there was a meddling on social media platforms by foreign agents, and that the number of active users is not what Twitter claims. And of course, this opens Twitter up to lawsuits from advertisers who are like, you charged us X on the promise of Y users, and you lied. And so that would be bad for Twitter. And so Musk tried to pull out, and they got in a huff about it. And then, so, okay, well, it comes to then discovery, because the court date was set for the 17th of October. And Parag didn't really want to hand over his stuff. He delayed and obfuscated as much as he could. I think it's the next one, John. Yeah, it's just, but yeah, so Parag just tried to get out of it, basically, citing personal reasons that I don't want to hand over my things. It's like, okay. But then Elon basically did the same thing as well. So hang on a second, actually, this is more complex than I thought it was going to be, and this is quite difficult. And so if you go to the next one, you see with the trial looming, the whistleblower accusations start piling up, and it becomes difficult to actually prove any of this because it turns out that Twitter doesn't really know how many bots they've got.
Yeah, well, this was the problem.
Yes.
I mean, Elon identified that their way of finding out how many bots they had, I think they sampled like 100 users.
Yeah.
And went, well, 5 of those bots, so we've got 5 out of 100 bots.
Yeah. And it's actually quite difficult. And so,
but no, it was the point of you've not even really tried.
Yeah.
Like, you can at least take a sample of 50,000 and run through that, and then we'd have a much more accurate estimate.
You could, but even then, like, it's difficult for Twitter to be able to estimate it properly, right? Because actually identifying bots is not as easy as you think. But and so Elon's been finding it difficult to actually find solid proof that Twitter is like 90% bots or whatever he's trying to claim. And so this Twitter attorney, as they say, told the judge it was a struggle to get documents from data scientists that Musk had used. So that, like, not only a Twitter not being forthcoming with data, but of course Musk isn't either, because I imagine that he's actually not getting the results that he thought he was going to get. And so they did not get any solid evidence that the accusation that was more than 5% were bots. And the attorney for Twitter, attorney for Musk said that Twitter had... the attorney for Twitter, sorry, I'm getting this right. Twitter had encountered a pattern of delay and obfuscation when it comes to what Musk has learned from data scientists that had studied Twitter data. And Musk, in turn, said that they were refusing to hand over material about monetizable daily active users and things like that, and active user minutes. And, of course, he made the points about the Twitter whistleblower, but Twitter was just like, well, it's just a disgruntled former employee whose allegations have no merit. And so the problem for Musk is actually that he can't just walk away from this. Even if the judge would side with him, he would still have to pay $1 billion. And it's like, well, may as well just close it then. May as well just buy it at the agreed price. May as well just cut all the formalities. And so he's decided to just close the deal at $54.20 a share. If you go to the next one, which was filed on Tuesday, which meant Twitter shares were up more than 22%. And I'm going to make a tenner. Well, no, I'm going to make about... Well, no, it is about tenner, actually, because it's nearly 1-to-1, isn't it? I'm going to make about £9. Woo! Like, basically Nancy Pelosi.
Just if we don't look at everything else you invested in.
Well, yeah, I mean...
GameStop, how's that doing?
Well, I bought $100 of Google and it went down 25%. Who could have known? So anyway, the deal apparently could happen as soon as Friday. Sources familiar with this has told CNBC. And the stock has, of course, been halted and can't be traded now because apparently this is all on the go. So it looks like it's actually going forward. And so it looks like Elon Musk is going to privatize Twitter. I imagine this will only make it better, frankly, because hopefully we'll all be back. I'd love to see Alex Jones, the God Emperor, me, of course, Milo. Like, there are loads of people, like Gavin McInnes, like all these, like people who have spent all of this time radicalizing in the wilderness.
And the leftists have been not interacting with them, so have completely forgotten
Yeah,
how they were.
But if you go back to 2017, 2018, when they all sort of got erased from the internet, like these people were actually a lot more moderate then.
Yeah.
Like, in the last couple of years, these people I think have radicalized to a degree.
They've become more right wing, but then the leftists have become more left wing in the absence of any moderating force.
Yeah.
So the collision is going to be...
It's going to be exciting to watch.
Beautiful.
I'm really looking forward to it. So we've got an article from CNET to explain why he decided to buy out. Musk's lawyers sensed that the case wasn't going well based on what happened in pre-trial hearings, Bloomberg reported, citing a person familiar with the matter, whoever that is. Getting a merger agreement is also tough, and the legal bar to do so is high. And so some analysts were saying that his chances of winning seemed unlikely. So this is basically the easiest thing for Elon to do. To get what he actually wants and not be left with just $1 billion in debt for nothing, So he may as well own Twitter. And so it's got everyone treating Elon Musk like he's Twitter Jesus, unsurprisingly, because of the... This was from earlier in the year, so back in March when he first announced all of this. People started... we got to see all Elon Musk's text messages because the Twitter reveals were like, okay, well, you've got to hand it over for... discovery. And so we got some very interesting people. I mean, there are lots of people I've just never heard of, like Will MacAskill, an Oxford philosophy professor, Matthias Dopfner, CEO of Axel Springer, never heard of it. Larry Ellison, the Oracle co-founder and former Tesla board member, who offered a $2 billion stake for him. Like he's like, yeah, I'll give you $2 billion. But interestingly, Joe Rogan tweeted him, messaged him, and he says, quote, "Are you going to liberate Twitter from the censorship-happy mob?" See what I mean about the demonization of the immoral community? We know who they are. Everyone knows who they are. And Twitter is being oppressed. It is in need of liberation. Elon, ride in on the white horse. Come on, man. Jack Dorsey had some very interesting things to say, which plays into the idea that I think a lot of people have had. Is like Jack Dorsey is actually kind of a hostage at Twitter, or was before.
I know this is a long-running theory you've had.
Well, actually, I think there's more evidence from this because Dorsey seems to be kind of based, actually, when it comes to social media.
Takes Elon Musk, you go purge the leftists. Fucking
Kind of. He had said that Twitter, a new platform is needed. It can't be a company. That's why I left. It's interesting.
What does that mean?
Well, that Twitter shouldn't be a company. As in, he shouldn't have incorporated it. He shouldn't have...
Oh, it should be owned by one man.
Well, no, actually.
It should be private?
It should be owned by nobody. Right? He says, "I believe it must be an open source protocol funded by a foundation of sorts that doesn't own the protocol, only advances it. A bit like what Signal have done. It can't have an advertising model. Otherwise, you have surface area that governments and advertisers will try and influence and control. If it has a centralized entity behind it, it will be attacked. This isn't complicated work. It just has to be done right so it's resilient to what has happened to Twitter." That's a very based position, actually.
So he identifies the problem.
Yes. So if you're going to have something like Twitter, it shouldn't be controlled by a particular entity. It should just be open source and available to anyone to be able to access it however they want. Because if it's open source, you can program your own plugin, and so you can just have your own front end. And so that's remarkable, like open-mindedness, actually, from Dorsey, which goes to show more. Again, I think that he was kind of imprisoned in, like with Zuckerberg and Facebook. Like, I don't think Zuckerberg is actually like the censorship-happy lunatic. I think that he's riding a dragon that he can't control, and I think Dorsey was basically in the same thing. But anyway, he if we go to the next one, there's a bit more as well. He had publicly said in April that he didn't believe that anyone should own or run Twitter, and taking it back from Wall Street is the first correct step. So that's very, very interesting. We also got some funny interactions between Parag Agrawal and Elon Musk, which are great. Musk had texted Agrawal saying, "Oh, I've got a ton of ideas. Just let me know if I'm pushing too hard. I just want Twitter to be maximum amazing." And Parag replied to this saying, "Well, look, you've been criticizing Twitter publicly. You've been calling us a floundering platform. And this is...
Why do you think I'm buying it?"
Yeah, exactly. And this is unhelpful and an internal distraction." To which Musk simply replies, "What did you get done this week?"
What was the answer?
Well, he didn't give him time to answer because this was in the discussion of, are you going to join the Twitter board, which Musk wisely avoided. And he just says, "I'm not joining the board. This is a waste of time. We'll make an offer to take Twitter private." It's like, Parag Agrawal must be like, oh, God.
Well, wait, what did you do this week?
Well, he probably
Nothing.
didn't do anything.
None of these people do anything. They just sit around and get paid.
Exactly. Look, what did you get done this week? And I love the way he's speaking to him like he's his boss already. Yeah. That's hilarious. But yeah, so anyway, there are more interesting things about the text between Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk that came out. For example, Jack Dorsey calling Facebook a swamp of despair, which is amusing because there's an Elon Musk account on Facebook that's verified that is not Elon Musk's.
Eh?
Yeah, exactly. How did that happen?
What? What does it post?
I don't know, but it must be... I don't know. Who's running it?
It's just some Australian S-poster.
Possibly. But Jack Dorsey had tweeted, text messaged Musk saying, "Look, there's a verified account in the swamp of despair over there," referring to Facebook. But that's very interesting because this, again, speaks to what I was talking about in the deepthink. The elite, quote unquote, the people in charge, they are all on the same team in a way because they're all in the same class, but they're not. They are still rivals, and so they do act in coordinated manners when the elite class sort of dictates it. But they do still have these fracture points between them, and we should be aware of this and tailor our message appropriately in particular times. But Elon Musk tweeted out, Elon famously left Facebook and withdrew SpaceX from Facebook and leaked the pages, says John. I didn't know that, actually. Oh. Right, okay, so I didn't know. So that's why it can't be him. Right, okay, so he tweeted out that this the acquisition of Twitter is an accelerant to creating X, the everything app. So, like I said, I don't think this was 4D chess, but an everything app. What do you think of that?
Depends who runs it.
Well, it's Elon Musk.
Yeah. I mean, if like the Polish, we have a benevolent libertarian king in charge.
We'll get to that in a minute, actually. Vox had an interesting article about this, being like, Elon Musk texts with Twitter billionaires show that, what it's like inside the boys' club. It's like, they talk about billions of dollars in the same way that you'll talk about £100. You'd be like, okay, I'll chuck in 200 quid, mate,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll chuck in 2 billion. Because that's just the scale in which they work. It's just a different number of zeros.
Like, there's a good game you can play to get in this mindset, which is if you take the income of whichever billionaire you fancy and then translate their costs, like per average, to the average salary in the United States or Britain, you can start thinking like them. So if you want to buy a new car, it's 5 pence. Or you want to buy a new Ferrari, it's 5 pence.
Yeah.
If you want to hire a secretary to work for you, that's 10 pence a month. Or something like that. It's
that'd be $10 million, wouldn't it?
But that's the thing. That's if it's not exact, I'm just making these numbers up in my head.
that's a hell of an
let's say
expensive secretary.
it's 2 pence a month or something.
Right.
Like you do it right now. If it was you, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
Like 500 secretaries would be 10 pence a month.
Exactly. But this is the point that it means so little,
Yeah.
and it's actually really understandable once you translate it into your own world.
Yeah, but so Vox, and you can tell that Vox, obviously being a communist rag, is just like, oh
my God, money.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, success.
Us at Vox, who are worth millions.
Yeah, exactly. They say these behind-the-scenes exchanges reveal how quick and easy it is for a relatively small circle of moneyed elites to throw in billions to help buy a public company that is used by hundreds of millions of people and serves as a place where individuals gather to find a community around common hobbies, beliefs, and goals. Except for right-wingers who have been systematically removed from it. But
they're not part of the community.
Exactly, they're not part of the moral community as far as Vox is concerned. But you can see there's a shift in the tide here. And they say it's a powerful tool for disseminating news and information. Exactly, which is why you shouldn't have a monopoly on it. And on the plus side, Elon Musk probably won't have a bonfire of the verified check marks, disappointingly enough. But that would be really amusing if every leftist verified journo was just banned from the site. That'd be so funny.
Well, you don't need to. I mean, number one, they'll all say, I'm leaving. They won't, but they'll leave for a week.
Yeah.
But then if you just start verifying everyone instead of just your mates, like that checkmark becomes worthless. Like it'll just become a sea of everyone is checkmarked.
Yeah, but I would love to see the seething of them just actually getting proactively banned. Why? Leftist. Leftist.
Could you imagine?
Anyone who supported the banning of Donald Trump should be banned.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do. Just be like, no, found this. Look at that tweet. Banned. Look at that tweet. Banned. It'd be great.
Give them a message, retweet saying Donald Trump should be back on the platform, ! Or
Yeah.
stay banned.
Yeah. Billionaires' interest in helping to buy Twitter wasn't just about wanting a piece of the pie in terms of equity. Text suggests that for many in Musk circles, it was important to have a say in what Twitter would look like in the future. A free speech town square where they'll conveniently continue to have the biggest megaphones. Cope and seethe? Like Elon Musk is not in control of how many people follow Elon Musk, actually. And yeah, why shouldn't
Twitter
they?
is in charge.
Why shouldn't they have a say in what Twitter will look like in the future? It's a free market, isn't it? It's a private company. It's a public company. They can do what they want. But this leads us to a nice cartoon by Bob Moran, who this is, like you were saying, the libertarian king, power to the people. This is exactly an example of this kind of power dynamic in action. Actually, the king with the people against the nobles, and he finds a disaffected class of nobles who will then support him against a much larger class of nobles who oppose him. And it's just very interesting how this is just an immutable power dynamic in human relations. This was like in feudal Europe. This has been like it in ancient times. It's like it now. It's the way that the world works. And then you get one of my particular favorites is Michael Tracy. I like Michael Tracy quite a lot, just as a journalist and commentator. But I love his posts about this. Whatever barely noticeable adjustments Elon Musk might make to Twitter's content moderation policy would be the final death blow to our democracy. My latest from the Washington Post. Or the next one. This is just like 1938 when Hitler annexed Sudetenland, but now it's Elon Musk annexing Twitter.
He blended in perfectly.
Or the last one, good news, all women are going to be banned from Twitter. Love it. Love it. But so anyway, good news on the Twitter front for right-wingers who have been banned from Twitter, basically.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium book clubs we do, this one on Giovanni Gentili's The Origins of the Doctrine of Fascism. And you want to find out what else Carl's putting out, you can follow him on Getter, at Carl Benjamin on Getter. Thank you, and goodbye.